Everybody, it is Thursday, August 19th, and I was kind of told to try to explain a few things to you guys. I think the last video I did, I was talking about about the 10 impossible things that are possible. So I'm going to eventually probably make kind of a series on this. And here's the reason why, is because as much as I sound like a crazy guy, whatever, I've tried to explain it before, is um, I came here to uh, help uh, for people to understand the transition that we're going to go through. I call it a paradigm change. There's other ways of explaining it. Some people call it a dimensional shift, 5D shift or something. But it's kind of a new reality that we're sort of phasing into, and this whole operation that we've been watching unfold, which is the takedown of the cabal, that basically are controllers. And I go on about it a lot, but the reason why I don't go into a lot of detail on it is not just because I don't want to get my video taken down or something. I mean, there's that too, but there's a lot of channels out there that are speaking the truth, and they're doing their jobs too. What I mean by that is, I'm just one of hundreds of thousands of people that are working towards breaking humanity free from this prison planet, this control system that we're in. And my job, I know it's been explained to me before. It's almost like I am more involved in. It's almost like phase two of or three of this operation. Phase one was basically all the people finding out what's wrong with what's going on down here, doing a lot of searching, a lot of basically it's almost like journalistic investigations, trying to find out. They were the ones that are setting the path for us, and there's a lot of people that have been searching for the truth for decades, 20, 30 years. Well, I mean, it's been ongoing for a long time, but as I've kind of explained before, is the people that kind of get close to the truth of or exposing how we're being controlled here, they usually get taken out or picked on so badly they're treated like a nutcase or whatever. Anyway, we have to go through all that stage, and then the awakening stage. These are all, in a sense, I call them warrior spirits. So people that are really in for the fight, and they're going to dig in, and they're going to fight hard to basically to help humanity wake up. I'm here during the same time, but I'm more of a specialist once we break through. That's kind of my job, is kind of what they've been telling me, and I'm starting to understand more and more all the time. Like I said, I'm coming out of this amnesia of why I came here. And basically my job is to help people basically change to a new paradigm. So in other words, I'm kind of a person that helps explain things, because a lot of this stuff is going to be hard to understand, but for very good reason. The reason why is because we've been not only dummied down as far as us as a being, a creature. Biologically, they've been affecting us a lot. With poisoning the water and the food, things like that. But also mostly through psychological ops, which is, for instance, they infiltrated our education system for sure. So all of us believe in this quite well manufactured understanding of this world. It's 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 well written explanation and story, but it's not based on the truth. It's basically kind of just, well, it's a bunch of lies, but they've made it make sense. They really did. My hats off to them. Although there's a lot of stuff that's always keeps you questioning, especially about our history, our hidden history. Now, okay, here's where I come in, is, and that's why I kind of want to touch on this subject. It's time traveling. Now, and this is the one that's going to be hard to explain, and also it's hard for people to wrap their heads around. So, the best way I can kind of describe it is, all of us, whether we realize it or not, in a sense, when we sleep, we go into the etheric world, which is basically the outside world of this physical plane, and we realize we can kind of manipulate time, as in, like, when you fall asleep, then you wake up, like, 6 hours later, and it's like there was no time at all. It's like literally just you blink your eyes, you wake up, and it's like, whoa. That's because in reality, what you're doing is you're separating your spirit from your physical body, and you actually are in the etheric realm. You've got a tether which keeps you. It's kind of all this stuff is kind of invisible. That's why it's hard to prove this. But I'm just saying, the same thing happens to you if you have, for instance, if you get put under anesthesia for any operation. And I know because I've had it happen to me, whereas you go under, you come back from 10 or something, you barely reached, probably 6 or something, before you just completely kind of just pass out, you fade away. And then once you finished your operation, you come back, and it's like, you're under for hours, whatever, but absolutely seems like there's no time at all. It's just like you wake up and it's like, wow, what happened? Like, it's just like it completely disappears. So what I'm getting at is, you can kind of manipulate time through drugs or hypnosis, through sleep, including sleep deprivation. You can mess with time that way. Definitely chemicals. Like, take, for instance, if you take mind-altering drugs like, peyote or whatever. Well, there's a lot of different drugs. It'll basically manipulate your physical body into the etherical realm. In other words, it's separating your physical body from your spirit. So your true essence, as we've all kind of come to understand, is your spirit. That's who you really are. And that's why, like, when you separate, this experience that this spiritual body is having is the real you. And then, you come back into your physical body. And anyway, I'm gonna, because this is kind of my test version of trying to describe how this works. But yeah, they again told me last night, they said, try to explain these things. And they give me some good hints on ways of making you guys understand. Now, here's the kind of interesting thing they've been telling me for a while, and I get it now, is even though our spirits can live outside this physical realm, like I said, this is kind of difficult to explain, but once you get outside this, it's like literally like as if you're you're playing a computer game. They said that's a good example to explain to people. And as you can imagine, when you're looking at the monitor, you're playing a character inside this video game. Now, you yourself, and for instance, that could be explained as like your higher self. You're the one with the joystick. You're the one that's with the buttons, and you're actually making your character inside the video game do things. And inside that computer game, you've got an artificial timeline, as in, like, when the game starts, when the game finishes. it has its own sort of linear time. That's kind of how we're experiencing our lives too. And you can, in a sense, like with a video game, you can push it pause, and then stop that game, and then go for lunch, come back and resume. It's kind of how it almost works for us throughout in the spiritual world too. So, because once you get out of this physical realm, there's no time. You can go forward and back. I know it's hard to wrap your head around. That's why I'm trying to describe it as best I can. I mean, I'll probably come up with better ways in the future, but for now, I'm trying to help you guys understand some things. So that's why when I say I'm from the future, is once you get outside this realm, you can go back and forth in time. And that's kind of what they also do for remote viewing too, is you can, and it's almost like coordinates. If you know where you're going to look at, you can go to that coordinate. It's almost like a computer coordinate or something. So anyway, going back to for me in particular, here's the main thing that it's basics once you understand it. But I'm just saying, the only way to change a timeline is you have to do it in the physical realm. You can't do it from outside. So it's like when you're playing your computer game, same thing. It's like you can only affect the game, even though you're controlling it from the outside. But the computer game can only be changed within that system. In other words, you can't put your physical hand through the screen and pick out your character and make him do stuff. It has to be done through the computer world. And some people will call that the matrix too, which is a really good description. It's like a matrix. Once you come in this bubble, you can only manipulate it from inside. So knowing this, I mean, any being that's above all this, or it kind of advanced, they know that. So me in particular, I mean, obviously I knew this coming in. I was shown the future. Well, probably not only shown, I probably even existed, but shown the future, how a lot of these timelines end. And the only way to try to help is to, like I said, you have to get in the game in order to change the timeline. That's the only way to do it. So I had to find out a place to go inside the game. So that's why I'm a walk-in. So I found the right person, like, to agree for me to take over. It's like I'll take over their character in a computer game. It's like a tag team. It's like, okay, I'm going to take your character and I'll live it out, and I'll try to make a change, because all you can do is kind of coax timelines into correcting them. Now, so I chose to come in, but the problem is because this matrix is under control by dark entities. I'll just say it right off. This particular module is controlled by dark entities. I know this is a stretch. Anyway, they know who comes in and out for the most part. It's very rare to sneak one in on them. They get it. So that's why I had to kind of sneak in, because what they don't notice is they knew who all the characters are, all the beings are for the most part. But how you can sneak one in on them is do it in the etherical world, which is the spiritual world. You can change. Let's say if we even did it, while someone was sleeping. I'm just saying, once you go outside there's no time. You can do things that you don't do in the physical world. So I snuck in, and because I'm not supposed to be noticed at all, I had to lie low, and that's why I was kind of wondering. It's like, how come I always feel like I'm hiding from somebody? I've always kind of felt like that. It made me into kind of a very meek person and kind of quiet person because of that, because I felt that I shouldn't stand out at all. I never really understood why. Anyway, so I've come in, and they've only awakened me during this in the middle of this operation. So like I said, I've been making up ever since, and I'm starting to get more what I would call them downloads, but it's basically information that I'm remembering. I'm remembering my mission is what it is. Okay, so I'm going, okay, all right, now I know why I'm here, and I've been watching key things happen. But I know I've explained this on previous videos. Is this timeline, this timeline that we're on right now, it's been shifted here and there, whatever. Like, for instance, one of the biggest shifts I experienced was, well, they call it the Mandela effect. And that was like around, 2012 or something? But anyway, there was like a really, really big shift. I felt it. I've been feeling the small shifts here and there, like, and they're seamless. These shifts in the timeline are absolutely seamless. You wake up and just only a few things seem a little kind of out of place, but they just don't seem to matter. Like it's really, really strange. It's merging one timeline to another. Anyway, this particular timeline that we're on right now, it's like playing a computer game. We've never gotten this far before. This is the farthest we've ever got with this particular module, if you kind of get what I'm getting at here. So as of the year, I mean, that's like I said, once you get inside the matrix, as of the linear year in this physical realm, probably, that was probably 2016. No, wait a minute. Something like 2018 or something. We've never gotten past this, at least on this particular timeline. It's a positive timeline, and I've seen how things can work in the future. I already know how it can work. But this particular timeline we're writing, and as you can imagine, and this is why it makes it kind of hard to explain, is when you let's say, using that example of a computer game again, even though you might have pushed it on pause, and when you come back, you kind of remember, because you went to stage 4, you went to all these different levels, now you're at level 6, whatever. You've made it so far, but each time is slightly different than the first time you played it. You kind of picked up on all the tricks, where to move, what to watch out for, that type of thing, as much as you can remember. But then as you go forward, it's a new game completely. That's kind of what we're going through. So what I mean by they is, the bad guys originally kind of knew, they had tech. I'm not sure if they have it anymore. I don't think they do. But they had tech to be able to see future timelines. They call it Looking Glass. There's a lot of different, there's actually 3 or 4 different versions of that. But that's using tech. But when you see future timelines, you cannot affect them. You can only observe them. The only way you can affect them is to get in the game, if you know what I mean. So the only way you can change things is become in that physical, you have to become physical into that physical world in order to change it. And what makes it interesting is your consciousness, your spirit gets connected to that reality. And what you guys are going to find out is, so it's almost like we got superpowers, is we can consciously steer something, steer the direction of this physical world. I'm going to go into that into some other videos and stuff, but hopefully I'm explaining time as best I can. And that's why when I say there's no such thing as time, it's outside this physical world, there is no such thing. Time only exists in these game modules. I call them game modules, or the Matrix. And you come in and you can only affect that game from within. That's kind of what I'm trying to explain for now. This is not easy. But anyway, this is they keep telling me this is my job, is to help people understand where we're heading, because we're going into a really, it's an awesome world, because that's what the way it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be more positive. It's supposed to be more creative, all this stuff. That's kind of what people signed up for. That we got hijacked. Like I said, this module got hijacked by entities, and they're controlling it for their benefit only. They're just using us. So I'm here with hundreds of thousands of other people to try to help fix this. So, and like I said, there's 3 stages to this operation that I'm aware of. Is, first of all, is the reconnaissance, the ones that people that went ahead, they tried to figure out what went wrong, who's controlling what's wrong with this. Then stage 2 was the freedom, the Great Awakening, break free out of this. And then the third stage is the changing of paradigms, which means basically we have to make, and that's where I come in. Like they said, I'm not one of the warrior guys that's in there to change things, whatever. I'm here to anchor myself, become positive part of this consciousness, to break free from it. But my main mission, they said, is after we break out of this prison, is what are we going to do to try to change things? So that's kind of, and they're giving me more information all the time, and it's big picture stuff. It's like how to change this, because once this freedom operation is never really over, like, but basically once we take control and there's hardly any negativity left here, we have to find out how to rebuild this world. And like I said, this physical world can only be built or fixed from within. That's the key. Because we've tried it in the past. I'm talking billions of years ago. And as you can imagine, when you try to fix a physical reality from outside, it's like you're like a god, and it's like, you try to, and you can physically manipulate things, but for the beings on these planets or these realities, it's almost like, well, you become like this god because you can physically manifest things or take them away and change things right before their very eye, and you call that magic. Now, in the future, you can call it tech, but whatever. I'm just saying, but that is not a practical way of doing it. And I guess, who knows, we decided not to do that 20 trillion years ago. I don't know, but basically, no, but you try not to do that anymore. You try to come in as a being, a physical being on that physical plane, and you try to help, especially if it's a free will matrix. You can't dictate to people. You have to give them suggestions on how to help them out or whatever. So that's kind of what's going on here. It gets kind of complicated, I know, but you guys, once we take away this control system, it's going to become a lot more clearer, and you guys will understand me better, because it's almost like a veil that we have to pull away from us, and it's a spiritual veil, which is kind of, and also it's a brain. They've manipulated our brain, especially through brainwashing, so we can't grasp these concepts. But when we start going more forward, it'll be easier for me to explain these concepts, and also you'll get it a lot easier, because, guys, this reality that we're in, there's something wrong. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, that's kind of where we're heading, and I'm just explaining my job, and I guess this is just part of my documentation anyway. So, but hopefully, if you guys have learned something from this, that'd be great, because I'm trying my best I can for now. Okay, that's it for today. I'll go into some other topics next week, maybe. Okay, bye.